What if the car sitting in your driveway is already headed for extinction, and the automaker isn't saying a word? Sales are collapsing, models are disappearing, and scandals are piling up. Owners are being left stranded with cars nobody wants, while resale values nosedive overnight. Some of these brands were once legendary, others were sold as the future of driving, but today they're clinging to life by a thread. In this countdown, we're exposing the automakers on the edge of collapse. The recalls they tried to bury, the bad engineering that destroyed trust, and the billion-dollar scandals that could wipe them off the road forever. By the end, you'll see how a brand with NASA and Walmart backing went from the next Tesla to total bankruptcy in just months. And trust me, you'll want to know if your car made this list. When Genesis first arrived in the US, it looked unstoppable. Sleek styling, advanced tech, and prices that undercut BMW and Mercedes by tens of thousands. On paper, it seemed like the new king of affordable luxury. But luxury buyers don't care about bargains. They care about status. And to many, Genesis still feels like Hyundai in disguise. The numbers tell the story. In 2024, Genesis sold just over 75,000 cars in the US. Compare that to BMW's 362,000 or Mercedes's 282,000, and you realize Genesis is barely a blip on the luxury radar. For owners, that's the first red flag. Without strong brand prestige, resale value tanks fast, and reliability isn't helping. In 2022, nearly 95,000 Genesis vehicles were recalled for fuel pump failures that caused dangerous stalling. In luxury, one major recall can destroy trust for years. That means faster depreciation, higher repair bills, and fewer buyers down the road. Even the ownership experience is slipping. Genesis promised exclusive showrooms and white glove service, but most buyers are still sent to Hyundai lots. Instead of champagne and leather seats, you're getting free coffee next to Elantras. Luxury customers don't just buy cars, they buy the feeling of exclusivity, and Genesis hasn't cracked that code. Add tariffs into the mix. A 25% tax on Korean imports drives prices up, and even US-built models still rely on expensive parts shipped from overseas. Then there's the GV60, Genesis's much-hyped electric hope. Overpriced, underwhelming, and already falling behind rivals. The result? A brand that promised to be the next big thing is now on life support. Without a dramatic turnaround, Genesis risks fading fast, leaving owners with cars no one wants and dealers scrambling to move inventory. But Genesis is only the beginning. Because if you think struggling for relevance is bad, the next brand proves a reputation can collapse even faster. If Genesis is battling for recognition, Buick is barely hanging on to relevance. For decades, Buick carried the grandpa's car stigma, and despite countless marketing pushes, that shadow still follows it everywhere. Younger buyers don't see Buick as modern or aspirational. To them, it's not luxury, it's not sporty, it's not exciting, it's just irrelevant. Yes, sales crept upward in 2024, hitting around 183,000 vehicles in the US, but stack that against Toyota's 2.3 million or Honda's 1.3 million, and Buick doesn't look like a competitor. It looks like a side note. And when your market share feels like an afterthought, survival becomes a question of when, not if. The lineup doesn't help. In America, Buick only offers 3 SUVs, the Encore GX, Envision, and Envista. Critics slam them as nothing more than Chevrolets in disguise, and buyers see through it too. When your supposed luxury models look like rebadged siblings, credibility evaporates, and with credibility goes resale value. Scandals haven't helped either. Remember the Tiger Woods sponsorship that was supposed to inject cool factor? Instead, it bled millions and ended in embarrassment. Add in mechanical headaches. The Encore and Encore GX plagued with engine issues, oil leaks, and turbocharger failures, and Buick's reputation crumbles even faster. Here's the real danger. Buick is stuck in the middle. Too bland and dated to win over luxury buyers, too expensive to attract budget-conscious shoppers. That leaves owners holding the bag, shrinking resale, declining dealer support, and the looming risk that GM could quietly pull the plug on Buick in the US altogether. And if Buick feels irrelevant, wait until you see what happens when a brand once tied to presidents and prestige becomes little more than a fading memory. Once upon a time, Lincoln wasn't just a car brand. It was a symbol of American power. Presidents rode in Lincolns. Executives parked them in front of skyscrapers, and the name carried weight across the world. But today, that prestige has collapsed into a pile of recalls, reliability nightmares, and a brand image that feels stuck in the past. Start with the cars themselves. Air suspension leaks turn a luxury ride into a sagging mess. Engines overheat, lose power, and guzzle coolant. Transmissions are notorious for harsh shifting and slipping gears. Even the basics fall apart. Wiring faults, glitchy infotainment systems, AC failures that leave luxury buyers sweating in traffic. The list reads less like premium comfort and more like a repair shop punchline. Consumer Reports doesn't sugarcoat it either. Lincoln ranks near the bottom overall, 24th out of all automakers, 12th in luxury, and just 13th in road tests. For a brand once tied to presidential motorcades, those numbers are nothing short of humiliating. And then there's the market relevance problem. Younger buyers aren't interested. Rivals like BMW, Lexus, and Cadillac dominate the luxury conversation, while Lincoln dealerships quietly shrink. Even longtime loyalists are giving up, frustrated by poor reliability and dwindling resale value. The harsh truth? Prestige alone isn't enough to save a brand. Without meaningful innovation, Lincoln risks becoming a relic, a museum piece from an era when luxury was measured by size and chrome, not engineering and performance. But if you think American luxury is in trouble, just wait until you see what's happening in Italy, where passion, style, and history are no longer enough to keep two legendary brands alive. Italy once ruled the roads with passion. Alfa Romeo gave us sleek sedans and snarling sports cars, while Maserati's Trident badge was pure automotive royalty. Today, both names are fighting not for dominance, but for survival. And the cracks are impossible to ignore. Let's start with Alfa Romeo. On the surface, their cars look gorgeous, flowing lines, aggressive stances, and a racing heritage that screams performance. But lift the hood, and the romance dies fast. Consumer Reports ranked Alfa near the bottom in reliability, with owners reporting constant electrical failures, glitchy infotainment, rough transmissions, and oil leaks. Even suspension parts wear out early, leaving drivers with expensive repairs long before the warranty runs out. And when reliability collapses, resale value follows. That Italian badge doesn't hold up at trade-in time. The interior doesn't save it either. Fragile knobs, cheap plastics, uneven panel gaps. Instead of precision engineering, buyers get disappointment. And with US sales of the Giulia and Stelvio moving only through steep discounts, Alfa's future looks fragile at best. Now Maserati. The fall here is even steeper. Global sales collapsed 57% in 2024, plunging from 26,000 vehicles to barely 11,000. That's not a slowdown. That's a freefall. Tariffs slapped a 25% tax on imports, turning already expensive models like the Levante and Ghibli into impossible sells against rivals offering more car for less money. Even Stellantis, Maserati's parent company, has brought in consultants to decide if the brand should be merged, sold, or quietly shut down. And then there's the EV problem. Maserati's electric rollout has been delayed, demand is weak, and planned models have already been canceled. For owners, the risk is massive. If Stellantis pulls the plug, parts disappear, resale tanks, and service networks dry up overnight. Imagine owning a six-figure luxury car that no one will touch. Together, Alfa Romeo and Maserati prove one thing: Italian passion alone can't pay the bills. Without drastic change, these once legendary names risk becoming collector curiosities, remembered for what they used to be, not what they are now. But Italy isn't the only nation losing its icons. Across the Channel, one of Britain's most historic brands is on the verge of vanishing completely. Once a symbol of British elegance and power, Jaguar built its reputation on sleek sedans and roaring sports cars. From the E-Type to the XJ, this was the brand that turned heads on every street corner. But today, Jaguar is teetering on the edge of extinction, gutted by bad decisions and a desperate gamble on electric dreams. The collapse starts with the lineup. In 2024, Jaguar axed almost everything. The XE, XF, F-Type, I-Pace, and E-Pace all gone from the US market. What's left? A single model, the F-Pace SUV. The company has bet everything on a future all-electric pivot, but here's the catch. No new EVs will arrive until late 2025. That means showrooms are running on fumes, with nothing new to offer customers for years. And then came the rebrand. The iconic Leaping Cat logo, one of the most recognizable in the industry, was scrapped in favor of a plain J inside a circle. The new slogan, Live Vivid, was rolled out with fashion ads and vague lifestyle pitches. Critics called it tone-deaf, longtime fans were furious, and the brand looked like it cared more about image than engineering. Sales tell the real story. In April 2025, Jaguar registered just 49 cars in Europe, a staggering 97.5% drop from the year before. Year-to-date sales collapsed by more than 75%. Globally, volumes fell from 180,000 cars in 2018 to just 26,000 in 2024. Dealers are closing their doors, resale values are tanking, and customer confidence has all but vanished. Jaguar's bet is simple. If its upcoming EVs aren't flawless, the brand is finished. But with a history of electrical issues and botched rollouts, even loyalists are skeptical. The Leaping Cat that once symbolized speed and grace is now limping toward the scrapyard. And if you think Jaguar's collapse is shocking, wait until you see what's happening in Japan, where two once-respected names are running out of road faster than anyone expected. Japan once gave us rally legends, tuner icons, and bulletproof reliability. But two of its once proud names, Mitsubishi and Infiniti, are now shadows of what they used to be, each fighting for survival in a market that's left them behind. Let's start with Mitsubishi. This was the company behind the Lancer Evolution, a car that ruled both the streets and the rally stages. Today, the lineup is almost empty. The Mirage is gone, leaving just the Outlander, Outlander Sport, and Eclipse Cross, none of which are making an impact. In 2024, Mitsubishi sold fewer than 20,000 vehicles in the US, and by early 2025, tariffs froze deliveries entirely, leaving cars stranded at ports with no clear path to dealerships. The scandals run deep. In 2016, Mitsubishi admitted falsifying fuel economy data for over 600,000 cars, a scandal that triggered government raids, leadership resignations, and billions in lost value. Before that came a massive recall cover-up that destroyed consumer trust. Nissan had to buy a controlling stake just to keep Mitsubishi alive. On the road, things aren't better. Transmission failures, electrical faults, and weak build quality drive repair bills up, while resale values sink like a stone. Once a name tied to rally dominance, Mitsubishi now feels like a brand on borrowed time. Then there's Infiniti, Nissan's luxury arm that once positioned itself as a bold alternative to BMW and Lexus. A decade ago, sales topped 100,000 a year. In 2024, that number fell to just 58,000, nearly cut in half over the last decade. Dealers are shutting down standalone Infiniti showrooms, folding them into Nissan lots. That's not luxury, that's survival. The product lineup is shrinking too. The QX50 and QX55 are ending in 2025. The Q50 sedan is gone, and what's left feels outdated and overpriced. Scandals haven't helped either, from inflated performance numbers in 2018 to major recalls over airbags and power steering failures that affected over 1 million cars. Reliability hovers at average or worse, and the CVTs that power many models have earned a reputation for being weak and unrefined. For buyers, both brands spell the same nightmare: dwindling dealer support, cars that lose value too quickly, and the very real risk that corporate parents will quietly pull the plug. These aren't the Japanese icons of yesterday. They're names fighting to stay alive in a market that's moved on. And if struggling niche brands sound bad, the next collapse hits even harder, because it's about giants that once ruled American roads and are now staring down extinction. It's one thing when niche brands fade into obscurity. It's another when giants, companies that once ruled the roads, find themselves collapsing under the weight of bad decisions, scandals, and vanishing sales. That's exactly what's happening to Chrysler and Nissan, two names that defined entire eras of driving, now staring down the possibility of extinction. Start with Chrysler. In 2005, this brand sold more than 600,000 vehicles in the US. By 2024, fewer than 125,000. That's an 80% collapse in less than 2 decades. The lineup tells the story. The 300 sedan is dead, the Voyager exists only as a fleet vehicle, and the Pacifica minivan, Chrysler's last consumer model, is losing ground fast, with sales down double digits, while rivals like the Toyota Sienna and Kia Carnival surge ahead. A comeback was promised with the futuristic Airflow EV, but in 2024, parent company Stellantis axed the project entirely, calling it outdated before it even launched. That leaves Chrysler with nothing new in the pipeline. Even Stellantis' CEO admitted some of its brands may not survive past 2026. And Chrysler is high on that list. Add in dealership scandals, recalls for stalling engines and electrical faults, plus the shadow of past bribery and emissions scandals, and Chrysler feels less like a comeback story and more like a countdown to the end. Now Nissan. Once the pride of Japan's global exports, Nissan gave the world legends like the GT-R and the 240Z. But today, the company is bleeding cash. In 2024, US sales hit 865,000 vehicles, but behind the headline, profits collapsed. Globally, Nissan expects to lose over $5 billion, with $3.5 billion gone from US operations alone. The Maxima, once a flagship, is practically extinct with sales down more than 90%. The Altima isn't far behind. Then there's the chaos at the top. In 2018, CEO Carlos Ghosn was arrested for hiding millions in compensation and treating Nissan's funds like a personal bank account. His dramatic escape to Lebanon exposed dysfunction that's still unresolved. Add in an emissions scandal where Nissan admitted cheating on fuel economy tests, and consumer trust has never recovered. A failed merger with Honda in 2024 only deepened the crisis. Plants are closing, jobs are disappearing, and insiders warn the company may only have 12 to 14 months left without a miracle. For owners, the danger is clear: plummeting resale value, shrinking service support, and the possibility that one of the world's biggest automakers could follow the path of brands that no longer exist. And if you think seeing giants fall is shocking, just wait. Because the final chapter isn't about old names fading, it's about new EV startups that promised the world, took billions from investors, and then collapsed almost overnight. For years, electric startups promised to rewrite the rules of the auto industry. They sold themselves as the next Teslas: faster, sleeker, smarter. Investors poured in billions. Customers lined up with deposits, and headlines called them the future. But behind the glossy promises, some of the biggest names in the EV world are collapsing right in front of us. Take Lucid. Marketed as the Tesla killer, the Lucid Air wowed the world with a claimed 516-mile range, jaw-dropping interiors, and futuristic tech. But the dream quickly soured. In 2024, Lucid lost $2.7 billion, on top of $3.1 billion the year before. Its stock has collapsed more than 95% from its peak, and survival now rests almost entirely on Saudi Arabia's investment fund, which holds a controlling stake. Production delays, unfinished cars missing basics like carpet and glass, and chaotic quality issues turned excitement into panic. The Air was even recalled for high-voltage failures that caused sudden power loss, a nightmare flaw in a six-figure luxury EV. For owners, it feels less like the future, and more like a gamble they're losing fast. But Lucid's struggles look tame compared to Fisker. This was supposed to be the great comeback. After the brand's first implosion in 2013, the Ocean SUV was pitched as redemption: stylish, futuristic, and affordable. Instead, it became a disaster. By mid-2024, production stopped cold. Cars were plagued with jammed doors, hoods flying open, and sudden power loss. The NHTSA launched multiple investigations, lawsuits stacked up, and by June 2024, Fisker filed for bankruptcy. Again. Promised features like Apple CarPlay never arrived, software glitches left cars half-functional, and now owners are stranded with the vehicles that can't be serviced, can't be sold, and may never run again. And then there's Canoo, the startup that had everything on paper. NASA signed contracts, Walmart ordered thousands of futuristic vans, Oklahoma promised a new factory with 1,400 jobs. Investors piled in, believing Canoo could be the next big EV player. But by January 2025, it was all over. Canoo filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy with just $50,000 in assets and more than $160 million in debt. Factories shut down, workers were laid off overnight, and lawsuits erupted as customers and employees realized the company wasn't coming back. Those futuristic vans? Stranded and worthless, with no warranties, no parts, and no future. These three stories prove something brutal. In the EV gold rush, hype burns hotter than reality. Investors can vanish, governments can walk away, and customers, the very people who believed in the future, are left holding the bag. And here's the takeaway. If Lucid, Fisker, and Canoo, companies backed by billions, celebrities, and even NASA, can vanish almost overnight, what does that mean for the rest of the fragile startups still chasing Tesla's crown? So there it is. From luxury names pretending to be something they're not, to icons of American prestige, to Italian legends and Japanese survivors, and finally the startups that promised the world and delivered bankruptcy. These brands prove one harsh truth. No car company is too big, too historic, or too hyped to fail. And when they do, it's always the owners who pay the price. With plummeting resale values, shrinking dealer support, and cars that become money pits overnight. But here's the twist. Even if your brand survives, danger could already be hiding inside your car. From pointless features that ruin reliability to so-called innovations that backfire and cost thousands in repairs. Automakers are quietly sabotaging your wallet without you realizing it. That's why you need to watch my next video, Stupid Car Features That Destroy Reliability and Lifespan, because the brand badge on your hood might not be the only thing threatening your car's future.